Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the show. This is Behind the Mic Stand. Y'all know it, y'all love it, and I'm glad to have you back. I'm your host, Alex Babbitt, and I'm here with one of my favorite artists in the world, man. This dude is honestly one of my favorite storytellers, and just as a character, he's one of my favorites to watch. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the one and only Dominic Leonelli. What's up, bro?
Yo, what's up,
What's up, man?
Thanks for having me,
Come on, bro.
man.
No problem, dog. No problem. Sincerely, you were one of the comics that, or not just comics, because you also do sketches. So one of the performers that I've been wanting to get on the show for a while. Genuinely, man. Like,
I appreciate that. Man. I've been dying to do it too.
Come on, bro.
I'm over here nervous. I'm on behind the mic stand. I'm serious, man.
Nah, don't be nervous, bro. That, like, dog. One, you one of those people, especially early in comedy, man. I don't know if I've ever told you this. When I first met you, I remember you taught me a valuable lesson about like how great a person can become. I remember seeing you at the comic strip. We was doing late night together.
Yeah.
We was doing late night. It's back. I'm fresh out the hood. I'm still in my early, like I'm still transitioning to understand the industry. So I'm talking to somebody. I'm like, man, he letting all these white dudes get on every goddamn show. You know what I mean? And you was working some bits. I didn't know what late night was. I didn't understand the whole thing. I'm like, yo, he not even really killing or nothing. Wild bullshit, bro. I promise you. Right? Then we do LOL together. Maybe like 6 months later. We on the same show. You kill so hard. I remember reflecting and be like, well, I think some people just need time. Because you're like, you've always been so good. And I think out of everybody, you learned the art of storytelling very fast. And I always was so impressed by how you did that, man. Is that like innate?
Man. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I'm actually circling back to the stories. So when I started, it was all stories. And then, you know, these shows we do when you're starting out, it's like bar shows. They're difficult shows, like nearly impossible shows. Mm-hmm. And then try to pull a story off on that. So I kind of steered away from stories because I'm like, you know, you kind of need somewhat attention from people.
Yeah.
But now that I've been lucky enough to get back on some shows and do some really nice venues and even recently some theaters, I realized.
Oh, that's dope. Congratulations, man.
Yeah.
Don't just fucking blow past that. You just try to, hey, man, I recently did a couple theaters.
I'm trying to brag, but no, one thing you can notice when you're doing a theater with like 1,500 people, you really get to see what works. Mm-hmm. And then surprisingly, it was the stories. You know, the stories are killing way harder than the jokes. They're just along for the ride. So I'm starting to go back into stories again, you know.
Because from Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Okay, bam. So from Ohio, when you first came to the city, was it like easy for you to kind of navigate this whole thing? Like, did you always want to be, I'm a comedian, I'm an entertainer?
Right. Nah, you know, I was always kind of blindside, like very nearsighted with things. Like I never was, first off, you know, I wasn't ever really a big computer type of guy. Even my phone when I moved here was a very basic, like a Razor or something.
I remember.
I don't even think I had GPS on that thing. And, you know, and so even just navigating around the city was difficult. But then even with just seeing comedy in Ohio, I just knew the small circle. I didn't really go out to like big venues and really watch it. I'd be at the open mics, and I just thought that was what comedy was. And even when I moved to New York, I didn't really go and start watching like good comedians for a while. So I think that's why I had such a long start in the beginning, because I was just didn't really see it as a whole picture, you know, like, oh, you could watch better comedians and see like, oh, that's the proper way to do a joke. I should be more like this, or, you know, more confident on stage, or, you know, just be more into like learning from the pros. You know, I was always just at the open mics, or like, you know, basically, I don't know, I mean, I watch like comedy on YouTube, but as far as just really navigating my way through comedy, I wasted a lot of time till recently. You know, I used to really think, as stupid as it sounds, I would think, oh, somebody's just gonna come save me. Oh man, you've been struggling long enough. You got all them holes in your shoes.
You wouldn't be adopted by somebody in comedy.
Yeah. I want a manager, adopt me, please. I've been in Karma Lounge for 6 months straight.
Please.
Right.
That's not how it works at all.
Bro, nobody, I mean, very rarely. I've seen a couple of people get plucked out, but very rarely, nobody's coming to save us.
You gotta say it so sad, but with a smile. Nobody's coming. Yeah. There is because I remember that, and it's not that you can't get. It's like you gotta kind of learn what the actual game is. So the actual game has like venues that managers will frequent. You know what I mean? It has opportunities like showcases that are designed for certain people to be there, but they're not just everywhere. Unless they're just drunk with their friends, and even then, those aren't the kind. Like I remember doing LOL, and a dude drunk out of his mind, he's be like, "Yo, DM me. I'm gonna make you a star. DM me," and I'm DMing. Oh, I really needed some money. Answer.
Right.
Nothing back. Nothing. But at the time, you like, maybe you just didn't think I was great enough, and blah blah. But like this person was just drunk and talking out the ass. But you do have to learn that. What made you switch
to making it an actual business? Really, I guess just doing it long enough and realizing, okay, this route isn't working. I have to create something for myself. I've been doing it so long, I have so much time invested, I need to make something happen. And then doing little things and seeing little things happen, like sending a tape out and actually getting something from it. And being like, oh, I gotta do this more, Like, that's how I got kind of into Caroline's, was submitting for the New York Comedy Festival, maybe a little relentlessly, like sent a few tapes and, followed up and did a call and things like that. Then finally it's like, boom, then you're in,
Yeah, not breaking down. How do you take like rejection? Or because I know that's one of the biggest things for a lot of people. And based off what you're saying, it sounds like you felt the rejection of the world, maybe. But how do you deal with that in this game?
I say with rejection now, I don't care about it. Not one bit. As funny as it is, I'm like, what's the next thing? Like you're running through it for the end game. But I think a lot of it before was maybe I felt like I didn't deserve it too.
Really?
Maybe I was like, man, I don't know if I could handle it, or I don't know if I'm ready to even like say I just went up and had a joke and it worked perfectly, and I knew, damn, this joke worked perfect. Everybody goes, yo, man, that's a great joke. I would not go home and write that down and put it in my arsenal. I'd just be like, I got to get better, even though it's like
you were always so hard on yourself.
Right.
You always sitting there, because I'm very much so like that too, and it's so interesting because to me you're so fucking funny. I never forget you had the joke somebody calling you poop tooth because you had to put porcelain. You had to get a fake tooth with porcelain. And I just remember thinking like, yo, Dom has a clear understanding of how to paint the scenario of your upbringing. Because I don't really know how you grew up, but it just always felt like it was kind of hard.
Right.
Yeah, like I could never tell. But I was like, he's going to do it. And it never felt like an act. It was just like, hey, man, my life was difficult. But you still have a smile on your face, and you still like, what kept you from being like jaded and stuff? Because you could carry yourself as such, but you don't.
Right, I think I did. I mean, I think honestly I did get jaded. There's times when I hated on people for no reason other than the fact that I don't got success myself. And I'd get like, oh, why so-and-so, the same way like you, and then you see the person and you actually work with them and you're like, oh, that's why they're doing it, because they're great.
How'd you get booked on that show? They're good. I see it.
Well, that time when you got way more laughs than me, that's probably why you got it.
That probably had something to do with it.
Right. Oh, the fact you mean you work all time instead of eating pizza? Getting drunk?
It's like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Right. Yeah. It's always the clearest road to it. I'm thinking, well, it's because she dyed her hair red.
It's because someone got got a new jacket. That's why they getting all the gigs.
Yeah.
Like, no, they emailed.
Right.
I guess because like people don't ever tell you that, or like a lot of times when you're like the people who actually are working the hardest are just kind of moving in silence. They're just working, so you don't always have the people versus the people who are really loud tend to not actually be the hardest working people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just don't see it all the time. You know what I mean? Like, did you have at least people in your, like, what was your kind of upbringing like?
I would say it was white trash, and we didn't know it. You know, but I would say it's definitely white trash. Like, you know, grew up from a very regular family, and then for a while it was a single parent household. So it was, you know.
Mom or pops?
Pops.
Okay. Mom wasn't there?
Mom wasn't there, and
I want to go social worky, it's fine. Because I saw the sadness.
Nah, you know, I hate bringing it up because I don't want to bum people out, but it's life, you know.
Sometimes you don't got a mom, man.
Yes. Sometimes your mama just gone. Yeah, so no, my mother was very ill with cancer, so that's where a lot of the finances went and caused my father to not be able to work because he was just by her bedside. So we ran into tough times, like hard to get sneakers or a haircut, or like wearing my Uncle Nick's clothes to school in the junior high, and you know, just big old size 12 cowboy boots, leather trench coat. You know. And you know, just
you look, you fighting crime.
right. And I'm losing.
You keep coming back with battle scars. They're good.
Yeah, it's just a lot of that, and you know, and then that's kind of like, which kind of helped me with comedy, because if this don't work out, it's like, well, I'm gonna go back to washing cars. I definitely don't want to do that. You know.
And it's stories like that. They're always, because it's you have a truth about like your circumstances that always makes me laugh. Good, bad, and different. If comedy don't work out, I'm going to wash cars. Because that's how me and my pops joke. It's like, you know, I come from similar backgrounds. Didn't have much. Like, I have a very good support system, but nobody had money, really.
Right.
So it's like, if I don't make it as a comedian, I'm working at, like, Home Depot. Like, I'm not, like, it's not a better life that's about to come.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just I'll be a greeter at Walmart.
Right.
Pop locking, just like, hey, everybody. Aisle 3. Like, I know where my life is going to go, so, like, it's great to have that. So is that one of those things that kind of keeps you focused? Like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I really respect the people that have other options. Like, when you're talking to a comedian and they're like, well, you know, before this I was a lawyer, you know, it's hard to walk away from the $250,000 a year. I'm just like, how'd you do it? Like, you know, how are you going to make that transition? And you know they're not killing it now. Like, they're, you know, it's like they're struggling. But then again, maybe they were smart, put away that money. But if I had other options, I ask all comedians this. I'd be curious to ask you, like, if somebody showed you every single thing that you're gonna go through, you can't pass up one hard thing you went through, and the good things they'll show you, but you know the bad is gonna outweigh. If they showed you all that and it said, all right, now you got a choice, you want to go through all that again? Would you do it?
All right, with comedy or being an entertainer, I would say yes, only because I know like how much the good things can bring my life. Like, yes, there's a lot of bad, but I just feel like a sacrificial lamb. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I'm gonna take a lot of L's. I'm gonna be sad a lot, but my kids will probably be okay-ish, and I'm fine with that. You know what I mean?
Hey guys, I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, especially for these episodes, Mason Haberdashery. Now, if you like anything I have on right now, this has all been tailor-made to fit me. That's why I look so good in it. Bow, bow. They don't only just tailor-make your pants, your jacket, your blazer, all of this. They also hand make shoes and personally hand stitch buttons. I don't know how they do it. I don't know the technology behind it, but I'll tell you, I feel good, I look good, and I want you guys to be a part of their brand and their development. So I thank y'all for watching this episode, and I hope to see you soon. Peace.
Yeah, that's all I can say. I just because I'm gonna take these L's. This is embarrassing. I be getting real dumb. This shit is hard.
Bro, I know it. I could think back to us being like trying to scrounge together $6. You know what I'm saying?
Them open mics, those, especially later, because I remember when we first started working together for real, a lot of it was either comic strip or LOL.
Yeah.
And those years were like, when you go on to LOL and you like trying to get some popcorn because you hungry, and they like, nah.
Right. Or even water, and then there's stuff floating in it. Remember they come in with the water jug and they just dump it in. It'd be tap water. They just have the 5-gallon bucket with duct tape on it.
And then they would say shit like, we doing this for y'all. We heard your complaints. We're gonna work with you.
They would give me whiskey over bottled water because they said it's easier to bring whiskey up than a bunch of bottled waters. Straight up. Even though no water, but whiskey though. If you want. I'm thirsty, man.
I'm thirsty. I just want to live.
Right.
Yeah, bro. It's one of the hardest things about this game. Is like sometimes they'll push a habit on you, whether they know it or not, because a lot of times some comedy clubs, not all, some comedy venues would just look at you like you're interchangeable. You know what I mean? So that's why it's really good, like what you're saying, to create a outlet for yourself. Like I love seeing, like I was telling you off air, and I'll tell you on air too. It's like I love seeing what you're doing on social media, bro. Like
thank you, man.
Your TikToks, like I genuinely. Not only do I laugh, but also I be inspired. I be like, I don't know how this nigga, I don't know how he filmed it, but I love it. I love the aesthetic. Like
that's what's up, man.
Because you get now, and this is something I actually want to know. Like you do characters, like you do a lot of characters. Like someone in a crazy scenario, someone getting robbed, or someone working out, but they're kind of like bumbling through it. There was you had one guy like being like a personal trainer or something.
Yeah.
And he's like doing this like extreme personal trainer, but it goes wrong. Like he has a belt in a weird way. And I remember watching and be like, yo, that's so funny. That's what inspires those type of characters in your mind.
Well, I'll tell you what, that certain characters I get inspired by real characters in life. Like I've been fortunate to have all these weird jobs to where I met so many weird people to pull from. But the belt guy, funny enough, man, that's me and Dan Harumi, man. Shout outs to Dan Harumi. You guys gotta check him out. He just gets these weird ideas sometimes, and they always seem to work. That was like a Harumi idea, So we just went out and filmed it, and with the jump rope guy. But I do get all these characters I'll pull. Like there'll be somebody that stands out to me, and then when I get in the character of the sketch, you start feeling the character, and you're reading the script, and I'm like, okay, I feel this guy, and I start talking like him. And I'm like, yeah, it's that guy that I remember, Mike from the car wash. You know how many characters I worked at a car wash with? I'm waiting for them to be like, bruh,
it's me. Yeah. But they'll never notice. They'll never it's probably the other guy. They think it's somebody else. Because because I think you've said this on stage, but I also want to know. So you said car wash, because you had jobs. Yeah. Because when I started in high school, so I've only had 2 real jobs. I was a teacher. I was a preschool teacher, and I worked at three. Preschool teacher, Forever 21, and I used to work at a corner store in my neighborhood.
Word.
Yeah, that was ran by the local drug dealer. Like that. That's it though. Those are my jobs. You know what I mean? So a lot of my everyday comes from more of like my relationship and all those things. But what kind of jobs did you have?
Man, dude, I had a bunch. I was an exterminator once. I had to go kill bugs, be up in attics with rats. I put in swimming pools. I worked at a landscaping place. I was a painter. I worked for a crackhead construction worker. I would just show up, and the dude would miss work every day. He'd be like, yeah, just go there and measure stuff. I need to get paid. I'd be measuring the window. The girl would be like, now why are you doing that? I want nothing done with the window. Dude, I used to act like, I couldn't even speak sometimes. I wouldn't know what to say to the clients. Where is he? I paid him.
Well, he was on drugs?
Yeah, and he wasn't paying me either. I can't believe I'm still showing up. I never got paid from the dude. Maybe one time, one payment. And I'm cool with him now. I help keep him clean and stuff. Yeah, and he was on crack still. I'm like, yo, people still smoke crack. I had that, and I was waiters and busboys and bartenders, like a lot. I was a dog walker. I did mountain TVs in houses, building IKEA furniture. I was doing that for a minute. Worked for a moving company.
Jesus Christ.
My little ass showing up. People be upset when they see me. They'd be like, well, my 14-year-old son's bigger than you. Right to my face.
Yo, the fact that, because all of these things, were you qualified? Like, how do you even go?
One time I got myself to be a helper of a captain on the boat, and now I just figured they just use terms like that because I'm like, you obviously need some sort of qualification. And the dude's all like, all right, man. He goes, I'm gonna go downstairs, you got this? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, man, this shit's easy. I'm just looking at the water. And dude, the shit's moving and the wheel and shit, and I'm just not even concerned with it. Bro, he comes running back up. There's bottles falling. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. Bro, I got fired so quick, man.
You were about to kill everybody.
Yeah, they had you count people getting on the boat, and these people was like, I was getting close, you know. There was a lot of people going by, right? Like, we're talking 4,000 people. So, dude, I'm just clicking as I'm trying to get them. And at one point, they're like, whoa, 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 we're way over capacity. He's like, we gotta get people off the boat. You know, I didn't know. I'm like, I was supposed to stop it at a certain amount. And, you know, the clock thing reset every 100 people. I'm like, bro, you think I'm gonna keep track of 4,000 motherfuckers?
Oh, man, I'm hot.
Yeah, you should see people's face, how mad they get, like, when you mess something like that up.
What is it? Because it's weird to not, I mean this is no disrespect, but to not be qualified, you still have the confidence to, like, to strive for it.
Yeah, you get good at lying, I guess. I don't even know if it's the confidence, it's just the desperation. One time I put a window in somebody's house, and what made me, I really took my time. Like, you ever do some shit and you impress yourself?
Yeah.
You gotta stand back and be like, damn, this shit is perfect. There was like one little flaw with the window in the corner, and I put some toilet paper in there and painted over it. You couldn't really tell, but it looked good. And the dude comes home, I'm all like, can't wait for him to see it. He goes, what, is this a joke? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm thinking, this dude can't be mad about this little fuck. He's checking it out. He goes, it was supposed to be in the other room. And dude, the whole time I'm putting it in, I don't realize, like, why would they just want a window looking at a brick wall? Bro, I cut a hole in this man's house, bro.
What?
Yeah. And I just left. Like, he didn't have my last name or nothing. I'm like, all right, I lost a day's worth of work. He's like, well, where the fuck you think you're going?
You like, home.
Yeah, I just started running away, bro.
Oh my God,
I was pissed
man.
I left my lunch there. And you know when you don't got no money, bro, I wanted to go back and get that Chinese food so bad.
You sitting there. Look, I know you mad about the hole, but I left my lunch by the window. Can I have it? Oh my God, bro. It's such an honesty that you have that I swear is the funniest thing in the world. And it's just like, it also feels like you really are just trying to pursue a level of success that you're figuring out, regardless of what's happening. Did you have anybody else in your life like that like you could feel like gave you the bravado? Because it's a little bit.
Yeah, you know, if I had the motivation of either my mother or my father, if I had their type of drive, I would already have been successful. Like my mother, strongest person I've ever got to witness in my life. They gave her 2 weeks to live, and she was like, nah, I ain't dying. And she was like, I'm enjoying life. And she fought this cancer to an unbelievable level, man, to where she couldn't even raise her arms, but she was enjoying life, and she made it 3 years, really fought, man. And then, you know, my father's the same way. He'll turn tragedy into triumph, man. No matter what it is, he'll get it done. He restores old cars, and it'd be in the winter time, 0 degrees, man, and he'd be out there 20 hours straight. He'd have this car perfect. It would look like the worst piece of shit you've ever seen. And then he'd sell it and he would just make it work. You know what I mean? No matter what it was, he had to drive the no quit attitude. Like, I would see my father in the winter time, man, like 0 degrees in Ohio, 20 hours straight, man. Like, frozen hair follicles on him, and he'd be outside working on cars, hands bleeding. I used to think, man, if I could, like, I'm too lazy to write a joke. I'd be like, nah, man, I need an egg sandwich before I write this joke.
But he's freezing. Yeah.
And that was his life.
Yeah.
You know, he was always worked outside fixing cars.
And was that your inspiration to a lot of degree of just like hustle? Because you do have that.
Yeah, no, it was. And, you know, he put that in me. He's like, yo, you got to make money, son. Neighbor's grass needs cut. I'd be like, my hair needs cut. So's the neighbor's grass.
A lot of things need to be cut, man. Figure this out.
Yeah.
You mowing lawns to get your hair cut.
Bro,
Like.
and same thing, washing cars since, like, I was young. I've always had money. I just wash all the neighbors' cars in the neighborhood, paint their fence. I was even selling cars when I was 11 years old. People be showing up like, nah, man, where's your dad? I want to buy this shit for her. I'd be like, yo, man, this is my car. Like, 11, 12 years old, man.
You just been lying for so long.
How's this your car? You're 12 years old. I'd be like, look, man, you want it or not? I drew a hard bargain, too, trying to sell them cars.
Oh, man. So your dad had his own company. Like, essentially, it was just, I assume,
Yeah,
word
well,
of
he
mouth.
worked 2 jobs. He had a regular job during the day that he worked at a car dealership, and then at nights he ran a body shop. That was his thing. Just out of the house. He built a big, like, garage in the backyard, and he just, like, you know, painted a bunch of cars after work. So he always stayed with 2 jobs, you know, and did it like that. You know, the day job was just for medical because he's like me. We don't got no real education. My father told me, he's like, mentally, I quit school in the 3rd grade. He's like, I started painting cars in the 4th and 5th grade. And he goes, back then, you didn't need to go to school. Like, after junior high, you never went back, you know.
He just said, mentally, I just stopped. I was good, bro. I think I got it from here.
Yeah, you just need addition to paint cars. You ain't never subtracted no chemical.
They never want the paint off. You just gotta add new paint. Like, I'm always good. I'm always up. You don't gotta divide paint. It's add.
Use your head, son.
Look at the big picture. It's only adding, baby. That's so funny. That's so funny. Use your head, son. You gotta use your noggin. You gotta. Oh shoot. And that okay. So nobody was. So you didn't come up because you know I stand up since high school. So you know, but like my mom did go to college. I don't know if my pops did. I don't think he'll ever admit if he did or didn't. Like as his personality. But in regards to y'all's, did you do like what? Graduate high school and then just work?
I dropped out. I actually dropped out.
Oh snap!
In like the 10th grade, and the school I went to wasn't really like even a school. Like it was closing down by the time my senior year. We didn't have books my 10th grade year. They're like, yo, the school's gonna be done. You guys could all transfer to another school for your senior year or whatever. So I was just like, I was working already, like some construction and things like that. So I was just done with school. I was like, I'm making money. I'm getting $300 a week.
It's like, I'm good.
And I quit school. And then, you know, the dream was always to do comedy, but there was so many people from my small hometown. Like I called a club and they're like, well, you know, you got to be famous. So I kind of let that dream go, but I still had it. But I guess it was just didn't seem attainable because like I said, I was such a small-minded person. Like I wasn't like in New York, you go here, you go to Gotham, you're like, damn, man, I'm talking to like this big comic right now. It's
who's
possible.
on TV or something.
Yeah, there was nobody that showed me it was a possible job. So I just did stand-up actually for my friends, truth be told. When I was like 17 and 18, we'd go to karaoke's because I always kind of did stand-up. Like all the time since like, you know, elementary school, I would do stand-up. weddings. I would like impersonate Steve Urkel and like the Terminator, and I would tell these stories that actually my older brother would tell. I would just repeat them because he's real funny, and I would have my friends at school laughing, and then when I was 22, a guy actually made me believe it was real. I was working at the car wash, and he goes, oh, I didn't know you're a stand-up. And I was like, yeah. And I said, I'm not. I just mess around. He goes, no, you could tell me. I did comedy for 30 years. Where do you play? Hilarities, the improv? I was like, nah, man. He was like, bro, there is no way you're not a stand-up comedian.
That's crazy.
He's like, I made a good living at this for 30 years. He's like, you're stupid if you don't go to a club and tell him you're a stand-up and start getting on stage. He's like, those jokes you're telling me are stand-up jokes.
Yeah.
And he's like, he told me a few of them. He's like, that thing about your teeth, do that, go to this place in Akron, tell him I sent you. And I went, and it was like a big contest. And I made it to the finals, my first time like ever on stage.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'm hooked. And then ever since then, I was going up to the club, car exploding, antifreeze all over the owner's Mercedes, bro. He's like, don't come back. And then, funny enough is I knew I needed to get better. I was there for 5 years, and everybody says New York or LA, so I started hitting people up on Facebook on some just sliding in their DMs, don't even know.
What years was these?
This was probably 2013, I'd say. Because it took me a minute to officially move here. Yeah. And you know who I hit up, and she's the reason I moved here?
Who?
Suba.
Suba Agarwal?
Yeah.
One, I've been trying to get her on for a little minute. She's one of the hardest working comics in comedy.
Bro, hardest work. I got a story I got to share about Suba.
Yes.
But so she tells me, yeah, if you really want to get good at stand-up, come out to New York, get out here ASAP. Because I told her I'm in Ohio. I was like, any advice? I seen a clip of hers, and she was so funny. And she was like, yeah, get out to New York ASAP, meet me at the Creek in the Cave, I'll show you some spots. And sure enough, she did. And I moved here in January for my birthday, and it was wintertime real bad, and my sock was a little wet. And I was kind of like, man, my sock's wet, I'm going home, fuck this shit. Bro, Suba did not have a bottom on her shoe. Bro, snow, listen to me. Bro, snow on the ground. This much snow, 6 inches of snow. I already been to 3 different spots with her. She's like, oh, I still got a few more. She's like, you don't want to come? I'm like, man, my socks are wet. She's like, oh, I know my bottom fell off my boot. I gotta buy new boots. Bro, she didn't have a bottom on her shoe, bro.
She was Fred Flintstone in it?
Fred Flintstone in it, bro. In the snow.
That's wild.
She's like, I gotta glue it on. And I'm just like, bruh.
If that person's working.
Yep. That's the drive, man.
Yep. I remember Suba was one of the first people who I remember saying, I'm gonna get her on in the future, but one of the first people in the same energy of like, this open mic, this one. Like just so many open mics and so many venues and seeing how hard they hustle. Even with my relationship, I remember how we really got close is you should start doing like a relationship thing of like, oh, I don't see you as much, blah, 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 like mad at the game. And I was like, come with me. Had her come with me to like 5 open mics or whatever in a row. She's like, my feet hurt. I'm like, yeah, that pain goes away.
Right.
Because like, that's a lot of the grind. A lot of the grind as an entertainer is just dealing with not having.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Empowering through that.
Yeah, the sacrifice of that. And, even with like dealing with, because you're running. One show went late, you got bumped. Now you got to literally run as fast as you could from like Caroline's to Broadway or something like that, to where you're like, bro, I can't even breathe when you show up. They're like, yo, man, you gotta go up right now. And then like, you go up and you're getting treated like shit. You gotta deal with that.
Yeah.
If you go to LOL, you can't get a bottle of water. You just ran 10 blocks in the rain or something,
You want some whiskey though?
Right.
No!
Right.
I actually don't. I don't want whiskey.
Yeah. Dehydrated.
It's the fucking truth, man. Look, I got a couple more questions, bro. Thank you again. Like,
nah, man, I'm happy to be on.
Yeah,
man.
I'm genuinely happy because these stories, I'm gonna watch this episode and just listen to the stories because they make my day. Because it's just good to hear somebody else going through it. I'll be honest. Like,
right.
Some of it be like, I get it, I can relate, of not having and just, grinding through it all. So bam, two things. One, when it comes to like the process in which you create jokes, is it just like what you do with the sketches of just like you use influences from your life, or do you do the whole writing thing, or on set? Like, what's your process?
I guess everything is different. With the sketches, I kind of go with what comes to me, and I have a sketch team. I'll chop it up with them. Manel and Alex, you'll see them on a lot of my stuff, and we'll just bounce ideas back and forth. Maybe at the mics I'll pitch it to a comedian, see if they have any tags, just to put out the best product. And that's just with the sketches. With the stand-up, I do two different things. So I do stories and I tell jokes, and honestly I've been leaning more towards just stories. The stories are, the more I go up in front of an audience and tell it, the more things I'll remember, or I'll have discoveries. And I'll be like, technically I didn't realize that is funny. Let me lean more into that. Like the audience will tell me with the story. And as far as like just writing jokes, I don't know. I kind of just get them. They just come to me for the most, maybe I'll say it wrong on stage and that'll be the right way to say it, But I'm very much more on the stage. I do write, and I think it's helpful, but I'll probably get the joke from the actual getting the reps in and saying it. And then one day it'll just be like, that's what I'm trying to say.
It might take a couple tries, but then you eventually be like, oh, I cut through the fat through the process of it.
Right. Yeah, I'm not one to sit down and be like, oh, this is going to work, and then take that up on stage and work. I wish I could do that.
I do too. I don't spell well enough to
what's this shit I said? Straight from my heat.
What does this mean? I got to decipher some shit? Nah, bro, I'm good. All right. And this is so funny, man. Last question I love asking, bro. This is your camera, and I feel like this will really resonate for anybody, whether they come from your hometown, your energy, your thought process. Like they hear you and like identify with you. What a piece of advice would you give them? A gem, whether they're same age, younger, whatever. What gem would you give them to try to inspire them and move them forward in their life?
I would say this. Before I started doing this, when I quit my job, my regular job, I asked everybody, like, yo, should I move to New York? Should I move to New York? I'm asking waiters. I'm asking everybody. Should I move to New York and chase my dream? I moved to New York when I was 26, and that's when my life started. So like all these years when I wanted to be a comedian, to me, if you're thinking that right now, then right now you're not even living life. Sad to say. You're dealing with life, or you're getting through life. Like my life started when I started chasing my dream. Then I was like, oh man, like this is where it starts. Everything else is just like something I just wasted time with. So if you're asking yourself that question, what should I do? I want to start a clothing company. Go start that shit now. Because even if you ain't making money, at least you're finally living your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say that much.
That was fire. Come on, dog.
Yeah,
Come on, dog. That's my guy. I love you to death. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my guest, Dominic Leonelli.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank y'all for watching. My name is Alex Babbitt. I'll see you next time. Peace. My guy.
Yo,
for real,
dude,
bro.
Great host.
Hey guys, thank y'all for watching Behind the Mic Stand. If y'all enjoyed it, as I think you did, because you made it to the end, like, subscribe, make sure you hit that notification button so you hear the subscriptions and shit. You know how it works. Just like it. Stop skipping this part and do it right now. Somewhere right here.